welcome to our May 2024 edition of Macro and Market Wrap-Up. We conducted a poll on our listeners' view on rupee for 2024. The outcome shows that market expects rupee to go to 85 against US dollar by year-end. Interesting. We will discuss when can that happen and what's our base case. Global growth has fared better than expected thus far in 2024. Softer US GDP prints aside, manufacturing is recovering in the US and across key economies, broadening the economic gains beyond the service sector. Global trade cycle appears to have bottomed out and trade volumes growth is positive since December 2023. Order to inventory ratios are improving. Activity data out of Europe has also thrown positive surprises. To sum it all, growth is just humming along decently for now, neither overtly robust nor materially weak. Any which ways, in a year when the US is entering election, one should attach a negligible probability to recession. Simultaneously, we have noticed that the inflation has bottomed out and is plateauing at the current levels in the US economy. So the investor community keeps debating between whether the current global environment is that of immaculate disinflation or sticky inflation. Between October to December 2023, former thesis had a stronger hold. Consequently, bond yields rallied, DXY weakened, and energy and precious metals were down. Starting 2024, inflation has been higher than expected, and market has been readjusting to the thesis of continued challenges in inflation. Hence, bond prices have corrected, and gold and commodities have gained. Studying the data today, inflation may not go back up to 7 to 8%, but get stuck on a plateau of 3 to 4% for a foreseeable future. This was kind of admitted by Jay Powell this month too. And in such an environment, the thesis for higher for longer goes on, and so does the need to hedge against inflation. And we say this despite cheaper Chinese goods continuing to find its way in global trade, as it gets partly offset by protectionist measures in the US and the Europe. Wage inflation is still high in these economies, which could act as a floor to service inflation. While the money supply growth has been muted, fiscal stimulus has been slow to claw back in these developed economies. The tensions in Middle East geopolitics escalated in April, and the risk of repeat of such conflicts is pretty much alive. Globally, securing broader geopolitical cooperation is getting challenging. This puts commodity and global supply chain at a fundamental risk. US Treasury has failed to act as uncertainty hedge post-COVID, and inflation in the US economy is the key culprit. The new US measures to tighten sanctions against Iran's oil exports will not have much effect on either Iran's shippers or their primarily Chinese customers, which is good, as truly effective sanctions could quickly imbalance a tight global oil market. We continue to expect crude at US $85 per barrel as a full year average in our base case. Even if crude were to go on to a US $100 per barrel on a sustained basis, India's current account deficit would be under 2% of GDP, pointing to a structural improvement in current account dynamics. However, dollar capital inflow could definitely take an adverse beating. The surpluses in balance of payment could be wiped out entirely. it affects rupee liquidity, short-term rates could move up, and rupee could depreciate past 84 against US dollar through the year. That is what the poll expects. But otherwise, if crude is at the current levels, rupee could be just under 84 against US dollar by the end of 2024. CPI inflation could move up by 20 basis points versus current projection of 4.5% for FY25. Petrol and diesel prices may need to go up by Rs 3 per litre if crude is at 90. Overall, commodity costs are still contained for Indian manufacturers as select other commodities like steel, iron ore, coal and overall agri-commodities are still contained. But the best of commodity tailwinds is definitely behind us, and at the current level of global activity momentum, one could expect gross margin for companies to moderate in the coming months, and WPI could lift from 0.5% in FY24 to 3% in FY25. Today, the single most important development post-COVID and more so post-Russia-Ukraine is that the bond and equity markets are no longer negatively correlated. This means that bonds, which were the ultimate diversification tool for equities, has failed to do their job in last 3 years. And the key culprit is high fiscal deficit and inflation in the US. Gold and commodities are a better hedge amid sticky inflation and geopolitical uncertainty. A confluence of factors including sticky inflation and reduced expectations of Fed easing have resulted in a broad-based US dollar strength in recent weeks. Indonesia's central bank was forced into unexpectedly hiking interest rates to defend its currency. The good news is that most emerging markets have distinguished themselves in the cycle by hewing to policy orthodoxy. Despite some having embarked on rate cut cycles ahead of the Fed, positive real rate differentials with the US offer EMs a substantial degree of protection against currency weakness. And this is the reason that the emerging market has outperformed the developed market bonds so far this decade. That this outperformance has occurred against a backdrop of the war in Ukraine, disappointment in China, tighter US monetary policy, and a strong US dollar makes it more surprising. The spread compression between the EM bonds and US, or more so for India versus the US, may continue. Now, coming to the Indian bonds, G-Sec moved up over the month, but this is very interesting. The movement in the Indian G-Sec was kind of immune to adverse development in US Treasury during Jan-Feb. More than higher US Treasury, it is the adverse crude prices and strong dollar in April and consequently slightly weaker rupee that had an impact. Going ahead, we continue to like Indian fixed income asset for all the reasons that we have been highlighting for last few months. That is, moderating inflation, consolidating fiscal deficit, positive FII inflow, and so forth. We also studied the state budget during the month and concluded that after a sharp surge in SDL supply and consequently government bond supply last year, government bond supply in totality are flat this year, which is a positive from supply-demand perspective. Coming to the equity market, higher rates are a pain point for the equity market valuations. US S&P has been down during the month, though Nifty rose a bit, while small and mid-cap has completely undone the losses of the March month. FII sold Indian shares. Earnings declaration for Indian companies have started for Q4 FY24. Being the last quarter of the financial year, results are largely pushed out into May. But an early insight indicates continued weakness for IT and FMCG companies. Weak demand for FMCG companies makes it difficult for them to take price hikes. Exports are showing some signs of pickup, as indicated in the earnings commentary of a few auto and auto ancillaries. Banks continue to show a healthy results in line with expectations. Earnings for auto sector is also shaping up. These few results continue to favor the cyclical sectors, but more on this next month. We are heading in a direction where increasingly the market will become more discerning and reward companies which have strong business models, long-term earnings, growth visibility, and sustainable cash flows across the market cap spectrum, especially at a time when the overall market sentiment continues to suggest complacency. Staying bottom-up and sticking to quality and sustainable growth should work for the equity market. Signing off for this month. Thank you.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.